Howdy, folks. So today we're talking to Grant Sakinofsky from Grant. What is your company called again?
With Migration Global.
All right. Grant has a very interesting story. I mean, I've just been listening to him and it's amazing. So take us back a little bit. You've lived in 4 countries in the world already. Canada is now your final space. But tell us the story. I mean, that is so fascinating. So let's start there.
Yeah. So I kind of like Goldilocks and the 3 Bears. I've been lucky to try the different meals and find the one that was just right for me. Grew up, born in Cape Town, lived in Cape Town, loved Cape Town. Left at the age of 17. Oddly enough, from a bizarre thing, friend sent me a letter and said, come over. And I thought, well, why not? So I went to move over there, worked in pubs, experienced British life. Yeah. In England, and started out in a pub, in a hotel, too young to work in the pubs. Got old enough and trained myself up, got licensed and became one of the youngest licensees in British history, or foreign licensees. And spent 4 years in the UK. It was a great experience. You know, every place I've been to, you kind of get that taste of what it's like to, when someone goes on holiday, it's a very different experience to when you're living in a country. When you have to start using the healthcare system or the public transport on a regular basis, or, groceries or supplies, every single country has a unique way of doing things. And then obviously went back to South Africa, spent a few years.
Hang on a second, Grant.
Okay.
So you ran a pub at that young age in London.
Yeah.
You're in London?
Some of the biggest pubs in the West End of London, Piccadilly Circus, Leicester Square, Covent Garden. I started off as a relief manager and I became a licensee before the Supreme Court of England.
Wow. And then you met quite a few celebs and a bunch of other people out there.
Yeah, I mean, it was incredible. You never know what's going to happen on any particular day. And I had people like Fraser from The Mummy. He came in and sat, and we've ended up having quite a couple of good chats. And other individuals from, you go to the Ivy. I had free drinks through one of the contacts at the Ivy, which is a well-known restaurant there, one evening, and Madonna was at a few tables away. So it's a different access. And the same thing happened recently in the US, where I was at an event and there was Jane Fonda and Martin Sheen ended up giving us a random off-the-cuff speech, which I recorded. It's, you just have different access. Yeah, it's incredible.
That's it. So at that young age, running pubs in London, I mean, that must have been an absolute jolt. Okay, but then you went back to South Africa.
Back to South Africa, changed careers, got into pharmaceuticals. Obviously, as South Africans, we're used to adapting and evolving. And I ended up, I currently have now 8 qualifications from 4 countries in all completely unrelated fields. Wow. Pharmaceuticals for a few years, got out of, friends offered me an opportunity. I got into electrical. Started doing into electrical, got certified in electric fencing, built a company with nearly 30 staff within a year, 10 cars on the road. And then just my wife had an opportunity to go work in the US. So towards the end of 2018, we had made the decision that it was a challenge and we wanted to explore that opportunity. I'd lived in England and she's an international teacher, and having taught on 6 continents herself, and being born in Canada, she had a different experience. And growing up watching American TV or American movies, I was like, right, let's go check it out. Washington, D.C., here we come.
Oh, wow.
And we arrived there 6 months before the pandemic, started getting myself settled. And again, it's a new country, different insurance, different banking, want to get a car, your driver's license, your employment. And the US is a very inefficient system in terms of immigration, licensing. I had to end up going to get my member of Congress to open the Social Security office for me during COVID when the office was closed to the public. So I actually got a hold of my member of Congress and we chatted and she made a call and I had to go there with ID for them to open the entire office for me. It's quite an experience.
That's interesting.
And so then I, not being a teacher, not having teaching qualifications, went to go work at the Washington International School where my wife was based, which is one of the top international schools in the country. And I walked in on my first day and I stood before the class and I went, Bueller, Bueller, Bueller. And one kid at the back laughed and no one else had a clue what I was talking about. And I said to them that their first night they should all go back and watch Ferris Bueller's Day Off because it was very important for their education. And I had that experience, having grown up in South Africa, and you watch the yellow school bus and the movies.
Yeah.
It was, having to, and then I went on and I said to them, I never saw myself as the old guy. I was always Ferris, but here I am. And it was fun. So then the school actually asked me, and this is probably how the company developed, to assist new teachers arriving. We'd been through the experience, and I started helping their HR department with new teachers getting settled, finding rentals, banking, insurance. And that's how the company idea grew. And, we spent a couple of years, we had the opportunity, and did we want to stay in the US? Or did we want to go back to the UK? We looked at, because my company is registered there now as well, have that opportunity. And I know I'm fortunate because not everybody has the opportunity or the choice. And immigration is difficult, no matter where you're going, you're starting from scratch. You don't have those kind of, wherever you're born, you have that sort of network around you. That's a support network, which is huge.
Of course.
And there's many, many ways for you to establish yourself and find your own feet, but that depends on the person. And it's different for each person, because someone who's an extrovert is going to find it a lot more easy to integrate and meet new people, whereas someone who's maybe a bit hesitant or apprehensive it's a challenge for them.
Yeah. So you guys moved to Canada then in 2022.
Absolutely. So we decided, no, I'd been to Canada. I found the Canadian values something that I could identify with, and I loved it. I moved here, and not everything's roses, although the system was a lot more efficient for me personally, my experience, getting my tax sorted and my driver's license and all of that. What I managed to get done in my first week took me a year and a half in the United States.
Wow.
So that's the contrast. The way things are done is also, it's just so much more. And I like to use the driver's license as an example. And I've now got my drivers in 4 countries. In every country, it's like, here's a stop sign. It tells you to stop. Sweet. Okay, I got that. In Canada, they'll tell you this is a stop sign. You need to stop, and this is why you should stop. Or if you're moving onto a highway, maybe consider moving into the other lane so the merging traffic can pull in. It's very contextualized, and I like that. And all of even getting my licensing for real estate when I first got that, which is a requirement for my business, everything that's done, it's more comprehensive, and it gives you an overall perspective. There's a lot more support from government in various aspects, especially for a newcomer. You don't know how the tax system works. Canadian tax, not many people are aware, but you can pick up the phone or book an appointment with the tax advisor from the CRA, and it costs you nothing. And they will guide you through various steps, or they show you free tax software that's available. So I've never been in a country that's had these facilities. The US doesn't have it. The UK doesn't have it. In South Africa, I did not find that kind of support.
No, well, that's definitely one thing. The government over here does give a lot of support. I mean, I'm just looking at my kid needs to start finding a job now, and he's working with Work BC, and they give you free training and different things.
It's incredible.
It really is amazing. So 2022, you moved to Canada. You just moved your immigration business across, and then started expanding, or?
So absolutely, the plan was always to open and have that mutual connection, because we weren't just working with South Africans. While they are our primary market, we're not our only market. My ops manager in the UK is Australian, my partner is Canadian, and then obviously we deal with a lot of British expats between countries, Australians, New Zealanders, and the concept is essentially the same, although it's a lot easier with your visas for someone in the Commonwealth to get to somewhere like Canada. We all have to jump through the same hoops. Getting insurance is the same requirements, finding a rental, you're buying a car without local credit history. All of these services, as a newcomer, it's overwhelming. It doesn't matter where you're from. There's certain commonalities to it that we all face. And to start from scratch, it's like, all right, the immigration company gave me my visa and I've got my plane ticket, and now what? And the business has evolved. It's grown. It's incredibly huge. We're about to be announced as an official relocation partner to a multi-billion-dollar US real estate firm with 26,000 realtors.
Wow.
We're working in conjunction with Canada West University, Mercy University, and a couple of others on industry-leading tech. So we've got AI-powered platforms being built for anyone relocating. It's incredible. We partnered with over 30 international brands and it's just having that support. A lot of people try to assist people on a local or regional level, but in order to actually make a change or to get the best, you need to negotiate on a larger scale. So that means, forming agreements with companies on a corporate level and it's understanding that and having the traction. We've now helped over 1,500 people relocating.
Sure. That's a lot. In how many years?
Officially 3 years, but we've been started 5 years ago.
Oh, wow. I mean, that is amazing. And what kind of people are you mostly helping? Is there specific industries or is it across the board?
So it is across the board. It started with teachers. So the international teaching circuit is huge. We ended up contacting a couple thousand universities and colleges across various countries. We now work with over 40 immigration agencies in 8 countries, and that expands every week as they get the value proposition. And it's just incredible. So what we do is we don't provide legal services. We are literally landing support services, and we do not charge. So if someone engages us, what usually happens is the immigration agency, your visa is approved. Now you can contact Smooth Migration, and they will assist you with the steps in getting settled, what to do before you move, when you're moving, when you arrive. And our support staff work 365 days a year. And whether someone's worked with us or not, they'll pick up the email and they'll assist them to the best of their ability. There is no charge. Notice that they will never pay anything to us for our services. And it's structured like that in order just to help people, because the worst is you arrive or you're having an issue with your travel insurance or shipping or whatever it might be, and you need a single contact point. You need to know that someone's going to be there to assist you that might have that knowledge.
Yeah, it's a very valid point. I mean, I'm not in that business at all, but just through the YouTube channel and through the stuff that I've been doing over the last 4 years, I would get phone calls from people out of South Africa going, I'm landing there in 2 weeks and I don't know if my credit card's going to work. I don't know if the Uber is going to be there. I'm so worried. And I'm like, here's my phone number. If you have a problem, call me. I mean, we'll figure something out. They never call because stuff works, but still,
it's terrifying. I mean, even us, when we moved over with our cats, we were immigrating and got to Joburg, and our paperwork had been left in Cape Town. Now, if we had been arranging that ourselves, we would have had to abandon our flights, and we would have had to sit with our cats and not know what to do in Johannesburg. All of our permits, everything would have fallen through. The company arranged that those documents, which had to be original, were on the next plane before our connecting flight and had that resolved.
Wow.
So that's the kind of thing that people aren't aware of, is you can do things yourself, but having the support of a professional makes a huge difference, whether it's an immigration agency, a relocation agency. Have you got your vaccinations, your quarantines, or your shipping correct? Do you even need stuff? People look at electrical appliances. Oh, I want to bring my equipment over. I've got drills, I've got tools.
I want to bring my sportal scar and it doesn't work here, my KDAC.
Different size connection.
Yeah.
I've got curtains or bedding, different dimensions. There are so many different things that someone ordinarily, you just assume that every country is the same, but it's not.
Of course. Yes.
And these are the things that people aren't aware of.
So you guys basically focus on the landing and the integration and that part of it. So not really you don't go and do the LMIAs and those things.
No. So we have recommended immigration agencies we work with. So as I said, we work with over 40 agencies in 8 countries. So most of our clients we've got approved that we know work ethically, because unfortunately not everybody values ethics the same way we do. So we won't endorse anybody who is not of the same standard as, if we actually go and we've done research, we've contacted people, we've had private surveys done. What was your experience like? Was it positive? We pay attention. It's the same with immigration stats. Whenever there's a global event, we monitor that every day, and we have done since we started.
Okay, brilliant. Now, just on another tack, I mean, what you guys are doing is amazing, and I mean, it's amazing the growth. It's like, but I can see you're a guy that's a go-getter. You go out there and get stuff done. Hey, wonderful, man. You are also involved in a whole lot of the Facebook groups and the communities, but not just South African communities. I mean, how many people do you have in your groups at the moment?
So in total, there's about 250,000 members. So
Wow.
I've got Southern Africans moving to the US and Canada, SA Canada, Brits in Canada, Aussies in Canada that I'm involved in, South Africans in British Columbia, senior staffers in the UK. So because it's not just one location and it's not just one nationality. So in order to understand everybody's different perspectives, we work with tax providers, for instance, and our tax providers in Canada might need to liaise with someone in the UK as well as South Africa. It's not always binary. You know, each person's setup is unique, and their requirements generally are. So you have to understand, and also there's different reasons that people are moving for. So, you know, understanding the top 10 reasons that people migrate for, whether it's economic, social, education, or whatever it might be, you know, you need to understand the unique background that someone's coming from and why they're moving, what their needs are. So we start right from the beginning. If you're moving, have you got your checklists, your shipping, enabling data, even something simple like a travel sim when you're arriving in a new country. And because we're on such a large scale, we're able to organize or negotiate better deals. So for instance, a company like Arello, which does travel sims, when we launch our tech coming up soon, it'll be 10% cheaper than you can get it anywhere else on the planet.
Wow.
So that's a deal that we've negotiated with the company. We don't work through our friend at the local garage.
Yes. And then, of course, so you don't charge the people that actually, there's no fee involved. You obviously make your money from doing the deals and real estate and other things.
Yeah, most of our money is real estate. We have investment real estate we work in. So if someone's looking to diversify portfolios, we have access to off-book or unadvertised real estate, commercial, residential, industrial in all of our service countries. And then we work with our network of agents. So we're waiting for the official announcement to be made, but we're about to be an official relocation partner to a $1 billion US real estate brokerage with nearly 26,000 realtors.
Wow.
So they are all part of our partner network. I've done training. I was fortunate enough to speak on Sharan Srivatsa, who's the president of to his private real estate group last year of 5,000 realtors across the US and Canada. And he was one of the top 5 influencers in the US last year in real estate.
Wow, that's amazing. So just a couple of tips. I mean, you are the migration guy. Give us give any South Africans that are still out there or that's just arrived some tips on how to make it easier to integrate, because absolutely. I know some people arrive and they just fall into it, and some people arrive and they struggle.
So there's a lot of ways, and it depends on the individual. So if you're business-minded, join local business networking groups. It's very simple to just Google or get onto Facebook, get onto Google, join those social groups. If you look on your local community, there will be something that's if you're into outdoors, find something outdoor related. If you're into business, find something business. Depending on your specific, you don't have to always do the same thing. If you're a religious person, join your church or your synagogue or your mosque, whatever your religion or your beliefs are. There's just that. The other thing is, if you're moving to Canada, I'm not sure a lot of newcomers realize that they get free access to parks their first year. Simple things like that. There's a lot of newcomer benefits that most newcomers that I speak to had no idea about. There are finance and grants for newcomers. So there are programs in Canada if you're looking to start a new business or you're looking at that you can get funding as a newcomer. As a newcomer, you are classed as a group. If you're struggling with events, reach out to communities, join Facebook groups. Even with the South African community, if you're a South African, not only are there national groups like SA Canada that will be run, or South Africans in British Columbia, but each part of Canada has a South African community. Join those groups. They've all been through the experience. They can all relate. Don't sit at home.
Very helpful.
Yeah, and don't sit at home. You take yourself wherever you go, and if you're unhappy, you're going to bring that with you. You're going to have to sometimes put yourself in an uncomfortable situation in order to grow. I do that all the time. I come across as outgoing, but I promise you there's anxiety that everyone faces at all times. And I love it. And I now also serve on the board of directors for a Canadian nonprofit. That I do, it's just nice to have that experience. There's other projects I'm involved in. But it's just you put yourself in and you have those new experiences and consider everything an adventure, because you've moved to the new country, you've moved for your various reasons, and you've got to just put yourself out there and find out. Not everybody's going to have that point of view, and not everybody's always nice and welcoming, but most of the time they are. And
Exactly.
look at it like sales.
I think one of the most important things is, like they say, it's not what happens to you, it's how you react to it.
Absolutely.
And if you land here and you sit at home and drink wine the whole day, you're not gonna integrate.
And I've had everything that could go wrong in various stages of my life went wrong. Whether it's financially or physically, with accidents or
yeah. You had a heart surgery, and
I've been dead. My case study: double heart bypass. My voice is funny from a paralyzed vocal cord when they pull out the pipes. And people were like, "Oh, you're going to sue?" And I was like, "Well, I can look at it like that, or I can look at it the fact I'm still alive." So, you can fail in life, but every day you get to wake up is another chance. So that's how I look at life. Is if I wake up tomorrow, then I've got another chance to do better. And I have a young family here, and I'm grateful for the time. Every day I wake up and I see my daughter and the little things. My company's growing, and I'm passionate about what I'm doing, and that motivates me. So, every time you help someone, and someone's from the small thing we started out as in this, and you're evolving. I mean, the first people I started helping with real estate, because, I was still kind of finding my feet, to now I have partnerships with big companies that can actually do things for you. And that's the difference. And I use that to benefit other people, and that makes me happy. That's how I was brought up. It's rewarding.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. So, what's your thoughts on the whole immigration that they shutting down right now in Canada? I mean, the pullback on letting people come in. Although I guess that's aimed more at some of the lower entry jobs. You were saying earlier that the doctors and things are going to get easier again.
So the provincial government's been looking at roadblocks and issues that have been occurring, and they've managed to assess that. And then while they don't promote it, there's a lot of changes. COVID threw the spanner in the works for the whole world. And I don't think anybody ever expected, I've watched enough movies in my time to go, wow, that's a really bad plot line, to go, wow, well, this is what we're living in.
Yeah.
So Canada, I don't think globally we weren't prepared for it. Every country is kind of dealing with one issue or another related to that. And the Canadians are quite an impressive group in terms of, if there is a mistake that's made, they don't deny the mistake. They go, wow, well, maybe this approach was incorrect, so let's try something else. So all they've done is they've reduced numbers, which allows them time to just reevaluate certain programs and pathways in order to choose something that's better for the country and the development. Because they've also already seen that in certain instances, you want those medical professionals because, they do bolster the economy, and your real estate, your rental shortages or building shortages are actually not related to that.
Yeah.
So absolutely, it's just a reconfiguration, as it were, and that's how I look. And again, where people look at the flaws, it's you always got to have context of what's it like elsewhere. How it is. Canada's struggling now. They've just, heaven forbid, 1.9% inflation. Most countries, if they had inflation at 1.9%, would be like, we're doing incredibly well.
Yeah, true. And the fact of the matter is that medical staff and medical people coming into Canada is without a doubt, I guess from South Africa specifically, very, very well qualified for the Canadian market, especially when it comes to trauma and stuff like that.
Some incredible medical professionals from South Africa, and although they might not be aware of it, if they go into sites like Health BC, there are foreign applications, and although there might be a few more hoops to jump through as a South African, each province is different, so they don't have to move to BC. If you're going to, I think it's New Brunswick and Nova Scotia or Ontario, in some cases you'll qualify. There's a lot less required to qualify in those provinces. So on your Atlantic states, I would absolutely, or provinces, not states, I would absolutely go and have a look. If you're a South African, we have some of the best trained, and obviously being in pharmaceuticals from a professional side and being a patient in most of the hospitals in Cape Town for various incidents, we've got incredible healthcare. We had representatives that were, had I been in any other country, I wouldn't be here today. And that's a reality. My case study is studied by doctors around the world. It's incredible.
Wow.
And it was at the first where Christian Barnard performed the first heart transplant. That was the hospital.
Oh, wow. Is that where you had your...
Rodeski Hospital in Cape Town, very, very famous. And when you talk about it in England or in the US or Canada, people know about it. People know who Christian Barnard is.
Of course.
We sometimes underestimate our capabilities. If you're even thinking about it, chat to someone. Reach out to our company. Our support staff work 365 days a year. It doesn't cost anything to send an email and answer a question.
Brilliant. And that's not just doctors. I mean, we're talking about medical staff across the board,
radiologists, pharmacists, whatever you are. There's huge opportunity in Canada or even in the US or the UK. The world needs more professionals. So if someone is not employed or not doing well, there is an alternative. It's just, what are you prepared to consider? If you've got nothing to lose.
It's not going to be easy, as we all know. Everybody that's made this move to the other side of the earth knows that it's not that easy. You are going to have, you're going to take a few steps back before you go forward again.
Absolutely. There's no sunshine and roses. If you're moving over for a job, it's going to be interesting. And what we saw before we got into it was corporate relocations was the buzzword, and everybody was getting a company transfer. But if you actually look at the relocation, nearly 180 million people relocate globally annually. And of that, corporate relocations make up something like 3% of global relocations a year. So every company is focused on the 3%. And I like to use a fishing analogy. It's like going fishing and everybody's trying to fish for the 3 fish and ignoring the 97 other fish.
That's it. Yeah.
It's illogical. So
it's amazing.
You are going to encounter certain difficulties, but it's you need to accept that, it's in a new environment. And also the other thing is, it's not where you're from, whether you're South African or British, you're not moving to South Africa or England. So you need to, if you're going to choose Canada, you need to embrace the culture. And for me, it's an easy culture to embrace because of those values. There's a good sense of community and there's a good welcome environment. And we've been welcomed by strangers. My first time in Canada, I opened the door to a Starbucks and they said, "Oh, thank you." And I said, "Oh, not a problem." And they heard the accent. My wife sat down, and 45 minutes later, after everyone in that store introduced themselves to me, including the staff, I got to join her and she had finished her breakfast. That was Canada. My friend was coming to visit, and he was Australian and he was running the ops. And I said to him, Canadians really are friendly. The majority of them will be, obviously it's different in a Toronto or a Vancouver where it's busier, but we went on the ferry and, Australians are quite chirpy. And he was like, "Hey, where's the coffee?" And the guy came back 5 minutes later and said, "Look, we don't make coffee, but if you want, I'll make you one."
Wow.
And you have those experiences all the time.
It is amazing, but you got to open yourself up to it, right?
Absolutely. If you don't interact with people, you're never going to find out.
Exactly. I think that's a very important thing. My kids hate it that I speak to people on the road, or when I stand and fill up the car at the gas station, I speak to the guy behind me. It's
a wonderful thing.
And that's how you meet people. That's how you go out there, and that's how you connect, and that's how you fit in, and you get yourself more settled. It's up to you. It's not up to Canada to make you feel welcome. It's up to you to feel welcome in Canada.
And it's funny you mentioned that. People might be surprised when you go into a petrol station and you're pumping your own gas. And it's a simple thing.
I remember the first time I ever had to do that. It's like, okay, hang on a second.
As long as I don't put in diesel.
Excellent. Well, awesome, Grant. It was so lekker speaking to you, man. Is there anything else you would like to say, or where can people? We'll put some links in the description of the video if people want to reach out to you, or I know hopefully we've got all of your groups already on the House of Canada website, so people can connect and reach out.
If anyone has a question, no matter what the question is, no matter what it's related to, reach out. It's going to cost you nothing, and rather the more information you have, the better your decisions are because they're informed. I think what you guys are doing is also special, and Lois is making a lot of effort in yourself, and you've been pushing hard. And I know sometimes a lot of the guys that move over, it's very hard to get us off to put in that extra effort or to get involved in other activities. And I hope that anybody who does watch makes the effort and reaches out to you guys and looks for ways for themselves to get involved with you.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, what we want to try and do is just When I arrived here, I didn't know about you guys, so I didn't have all of the knowledge at my fingertips, and I had to figure out a whole lot of it by myself. And the thing that got to me was that all the information was very fragmented. The information is out there, and you can go on the Facebook groups, and the people are super helpful, but it's very fragmented. I mean, I saw
sometimes it's bad advice.
I actually saw a thing on one of the groups. Somebody asked about a police clearance certificate. Do they need to, they're doing their PR application now. Do they need to get a new police clearance certificate? And then you've got people going, yes, your police clearance certificate expires after 6 months, but it doesn't. If you haven't been back to South Africa for more than 6 months, it doesn't. So the information, even though a lot of people are very helpful and they're not doing it on purpose, they don't necessarily have the right information. They just try and help. And
the intentions are good.
The intentions are brilliant, but sometimes it's not all there. So I think that's one of the things that we want to try and do with the South African Institute, is just to have like a single source of truth where people like you and other experts all around can help put information together, and we can put verified information. And it's not to replace anybody. It's just a place where you can go and find out, and then where you can find out dinkum people that you can reach out to if you have more questions.
And that's very important what you said, because we're stronger as a community.
That's it. Yeah, 100%. All right, Grant, it was awesome, and I'm sure we're gonna chat a lot more on the.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very, very much for your time.
Where do you live?
I'm currently on Vancouver Island until I'm back in the States or bouncing around. But yeah, for the next couple of months, Vancouver Island.
Okay, so we will actually at some stage we will get into and do an in-person interview.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
I actually like those a lot more. But next time I visit the island,
beautiful.
If you're there,
it'd be nice to see you.
All right, but have an absolutely wonderful one. Thanks for being here. Cheers.
Take care.